What's up, guys? We hope you're doing well. Happy Tuesday, by the way.
Yeah,
And welcome to another episode
another one.
of A Breakfast with Mark and Jen.
Yeah,
We are here to help your Christian marriage thrive.
yeah.
And so today we have quite an important topic. It's a series actually that we're going to do. Not sure if we'll do them all back to back, but it's a series nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be looking at what we can learn from different couples that we see in the Bible. Today, we're
Yeah.
coming in hot. We're coming in heavy. We're starting with probably the most diabolical couple we
Listen.
could start with.
Yeah.
And that is Ahab and Jezebel.
Right.
And so, what we're learning from them, what we're going to be discussing today is why who you marry matters.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes a big difference. Okay. So when you just say the name Jezebel, like that just sends off all of these alarm bells all over the place
Yeah,
because everybody knows that name. All
exactly.
right. And so the thing about Ahab and Jezebel, a little bit of background, Ahab is king over Israel. All
Right.
right. So he's God's man,
Mm-hmm.
but he decides he's going to marry a woman named Jezebel
Mm.
and she serves idols. All
Yes.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing we need to talk about is that who you marry matters.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And if you're out here trying to serve God,
Yeah.
and you think that you can marry someone else that has a totally different
Mm.
view perspective on how you should live your life based on faith
Yeah.
and how you see your God,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to present problems just at the foundational level,
Yeah.
right? Because he felt like he would be okay
Right.
not only to marry someone that wasn't a Hebrew, but
Mm.
to marry someone that had complete opposite views as it
Yeah.
relates to serving a deity and putting their trust in God and Jehovah. So
Mm-hmm.
so we're saying, hey, listen, if you're an Ahab out there, if you're a guy out there,
Mm.
you want to be able to see some red flags in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
and sense, okay, could this be a potential
And if you're a
Jezebel?
lady out there,
Yeah,
because one thing about Jezebel is that that spirit is not relegated to a gender.
right.
So I read a book written by, I don't know if he's a pastor, but he is a believer. And the book is called Jezebel, Witch is Back,
Right.
by someone I believe named Landon Scott.
Okay.
And he did a lot of research on Jezebel and that spirit. And really, the Jezebel spirit is a spirit that is controlling, that is manipulative, that
Mm-hmm.
is destructive.
Right.
And so, really, and Mark is right. Fellas, if you notice that in a woman, you have to be careful. But females, a man can have a Jezebel spirit. Now, I grew
Absolutely.
up in a traditional Pentecostal context.
Right.
So when I was growing up, Jezebel meant red lipstick, it meant red nails, it meant short dresses,
Yeah.
crazy, what would be considered immodest hairdos.
Right.
But actually, that's not Jezebel,
Right.
right? Because Jezebel can have nude nails, clear lip gloss, and still be a problem.
Still be a problem.
So,
So, the thing is that what you're looking out for is the spirit of the person,
correct.
right? Because
Mm-hmm.
a Jezebel can be encapsulated in both genders.
Mm-hmm.
And what you want to start looking at is, hey, is the person that I'm with, are they controlling? Do they have controlling tendencies?
Yeah.
All right? Because for the most part, when someone is controlling, you'll be able to pick it up in certain areas,
Yeah,
right? It's
exactly.
not even so much that they're trying to take over your whole life
Right.
like Jezebel did.
Mm-hmm.
That'll come, right? If you don't
Right.
if you don't actually
Mm-hmm.
hone in on it and
Mm-hmm.
get it under control, it'll grow to a level where it's uncontrollable.
Yeah.
But what you want to do is start looking for, hey, is this person a little too controlling
Yeah.
in this little area?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are they so bent on it being their way?
Yes. Yes. And so, it's funny, Mark, because the enemy can creep in small ways.
Yeah.
Okay? So, controlling in an area, like maybe you brush it off, but what about you all go out to a restaurant
Yeah.
and your significant other is always telling you they're going to let you know what you're going to order. So you really have a taste for steak.
Yeah.
and steak is in the budget, but they're like, I actually want you to have chicken though. I just don't want you to have a steak.
Yeah.
And they do that one time, and you may think, okay, well, maybe they're just looking out for my health
Right.
because chicken's better than red meat.
Right.
But then you notice you go to a coffee shop and you're like, I want the French vanilla. They're like, no, you're getting hazelnut.
Yeah.
Get the hazelnut. Hazelnut's better.
Yeah.
And they couch it as, I just love hazelnut. I want you to love
I want
hazelnut.
what's best for you, and I'm just trying to help you out. And that's the thing, is that living with a controlling person,
Yeah.
it's not even so much that they're doing it in an overt way.
Mm-hmm.
They can do it in a subtle
It's
way,
subtle.
and they couch it, as you said, Jen, in a way that it's like, hey, I just trying to help. But they're always,
Yeah.
always
Always.
controlling every little thing.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to be careful of,
Yeah.
because I think from the female side,
Mm-hmm.
you know, women are called to submit to their husbands
Mm-hmm.
because that's what the Bible says.
Yeah.
But talk a little bit about, Jen, the difference between submitting to a godly husband
Mm-hmm.
and where you should start drawing the line
Mm-hmm.
at, hey, this person is starting to control me
Yeah.
and I need to speak up. I need to not be a doormat.
Yeah. So if you have a husband that is godly and he's not controlling, you will find that submission in the healthy context that God purposed it,
Yeah.
you will still have a say, you will still have a voice, and you won't feel smothered or overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You won't feel anxious.
There you go.
Because
I think that's good.
submission God's way doesn't actually lead to anxiety. It
Mm-hmm.
leads to joy and it leads to peace because you're submitting to a man who actually has your best interest at heart. When a man is too controlling, you will find that over time, little by little, you just don't have a voice.
That's
You don't
so
have a
good.
say in matters of the household. You don't have a say in your own appearance.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a say in what you eat, what you wear, who you speak on the phone with. You don't have a say in your hobbies. You don't have a say in your likes or dislikes. And so, if you're in a situation where you find yourself as a woman, if you really think how your life is going and you
Yeah.
realize I don't really have a say in life overall, I just
Right.
don't have a voice, and when I do try to speak up, I'm silenced,
Yeah.
then you're not actually being submissive, you are being controlled.
Come on.
Even
That's
God
so
gives you some
good.
choices.
Even God gives you choices.
God, as a woman, gives me choices. God allows me to decide how I want to style my hair. God allows me to decide what color jeans I want to wear,
Yeah.
whether I want to wear the dark wash or the light wash one day. God allows me to decide, what nail design I want to get.
Yeah.
And so if you find that you're in a relationship with a man who doesn't allow even for those things, you have to say to yourself, well, wait a minute. I don't think I'm just being submissive. I'm actually being controlled.
I'm being
and
controlled.
and when you're being controlled, Mark, it's going to lead to paranoia and anxiety because you're going to be walking on
Right.
eggshells.
Mm-hmm.
With God, you're not walking on eggshells.
Right. Right.
Because he's not temperamental.
That's the thing. You have to be comfortable.
Yeah.
And you can know quickly that you're in a controlling environment because, as you said, you're walking on eggshells.
Right.
And you're actually watching every little thing that you do, or else you're going to set the other person off.
Right.
That means you're living with a Jezebel because they're controlling your mood.
Right.
They're controlling your voice. They're controlling how you think. They're not just trying to shape you physically, they're trying to shape you psychologically.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the thing about a Jezebel spirit,
yeah.
because when the spirit is involved, it's going deeper than the outward appearance, right?
Correct.
It start going into how you perceive life, what you're thinking about, and a really controlling partner wants to get in your head
Yeah.
because that's where the seeds of fear
Yes.
are going to take root.
Absolutely.
And so they can control you from a distance because they've gotten in your head.
yeah.
So they're at work, you're at home, but you're like, oh, I can't do that because my spouse, he's going to get upset or she's going to get upset because they've gotten in your head to the degree
Yeah.
that Jezebel spirit is all over the house, in your soul, in your heart, and you can even take a few steps
Yeah.
without thinking about how
Yeah.
the other person is going to
Yeah.
react.
And I mean, just like the Jezebel spirit can be in a man or a woman, so can the Ahab spirit.
Okay?
Because
Okay.
the Ahab spirit is all about acquiescing to the controlling party in an effort to hopefully keep the peace. The thing
Yeah.
about Ahab, though, is that even though he always listened to Jezebel, she still never became a source of peace for him.
Listen, what a weak man.
Yeah.
What a
I
weak
mean,
man Ahab
yeah.
was, because Ahab, he wasn't like, first of all, it's not even about submission.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the fact that he was king, he had the power,
Yeah.
but yet because he was in such a controlled environment,
Yeah.
he gave way to the voice of the woman in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about it is that Ahab did not get the blessings of God, did not receive the blessings of God
Yeah.
in his house and in the entire nation,
Mm-hmm.
because it was on him. Like, that's what the men need to understand,
That's good.
is that when you give up your voice,
Mm.
when you take a step back
Mm-hmm.
and you acquiesce to a controlling woman,
Mm.
you actually block the blessings of God,
Mm.
not only on you, but on your legacy and everything that you
That's
touch.
good, Mark.
Everything that you touch, because you're afraid to speak up and
Mm.
take control. And I think that as we go through this culture where women are stepping up
Mm-hmm.
in culture, in
Yeah.
corporate,
Mm-hmm.
in family.
Yeah.
And I believe that women have been too quiet, too docile
Mm-hmm.
in certain environments, and
Yeah.
their voice needs to have more power.
Yeah.
I think that it's producing weak men,
Mm.
because we are actually acquiescing to a
Mm.
Jezebel spirit and we don't even know it. And
Wow.
we're just out here, as you said, trying to keep the peace.
Yeah.
And that's how we couch it, that's how we cover it. But actually, you're giving way for the enemy to come in
Mm.
and for blessings to be blocked
Well,
in your
that's why,
family.
Mark, I always say, and this isn't popular either, but I say many things on this platform that are not popular and I
Right.
just don't care. But that's why I say I am feminine, but I'm not a feminist.
Let's go.
Because
Like we could be talking about this for a long time,
yeah, because
because
one time someone said to me, "Oh, if you're not a feminist, you're saying that women shouldn't get equal pay at work." And I'm saying that's absolutely not what I'm saying.
right.
And that is not all there is to the feminist movement. If
Mm-hmm.
that was all there is to the feminist movement, then I would be a feminist.
Right.
Because I do believe women should get equal pay for the same work.
Mm-hmm.
But the feminist movement, the modern feminist movement at its core, has this spirit and this thought process that men aren't needed in society,
Right.
that women can be doing everything men can do. And I don't believe that. I believe God wired us differently. Intellectually, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But even physically, we are not created the same. I don't understand women that want to participate in sports on a men's team.
Yeah.
Like, you're a woman who loves sports, great, but why do you have to be on a men's sports team? Because the bodies are not wired the same, because that's just not how God created us.
Right.
No matter how much, Mark, I work out and I eat right, I'm never going to have the exact same strength you have, and my strength isn't going to be in the same parts of my body as you, because that's just not how we were wired.
Yeah.
And so I'm feminine because I believe in being girly. I believe in being dainty. I actually love being a woman, but I am not going to push the agenda that men are weak. I'm not going to push the agenda that men are not needed.
Yeah.
I'm not going to push the agenda that men and women, there are absolutely no gender differences. I just will not push that agenda.
And the thing is that I think the feminist movement believes that when they can usurp a man,
Mm-hmm.
that they're exercising their strength. They're actually showing their weakness,
Hmm.
because it takes a strong person to actually find strength in their difference. Like, I don't have to be
Yeah.
like you
Yep.
in order to be strong. I
Exactly.
could be strong in my own skin, in my own gender.
Mm-hmm.
I could be strong in my own ethnicity, in
Mm-hmm.
my own race,
Yeah.
because that's the way that God created me. So I don't need to be over top of you or take your place, your position in order to be strong.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that when you're talking about marriage,
Mm-hmm.
you got this power struggle going on. And whether the Jezebel spirit's in the man or the Jezebel spirit's in the woman,
Mm-hmm.
it's because one party is assuming too much of the role of the other person.
Yes. And then is the person who is the Ahab
Right?
is not allowing their voice to be heard. They're
Right.
intimidated because the Jezebel spirit is also very intimidating.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I came across when I read that book, Jezebel, the Witch is Back, he was saying that whether you're in a corporate environment, a church environment, a relationship,
Yeah.
if you find yourself in the presence of a Jezebel, you have to get out, because Jezebels are never fully satisfied unless they have full control and until they have just destroyed what
Yeah.
they have touched.
Yeah, because they have a Jezebel spirit has such an insatiable appetite for
Yes.
power and
Yes.
control
Mm-hmm.
that it seeps into everything. So it wasn't enough for Jezebel to control Ahab,
Right.
control his house. She wanted control over the whole nation.
Yeah.
And then when she started to control the nation,
Mm-hmm.
she wanted to control the voice of God over the nation, which was the prophet.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way that Israel was set up is that the king had power to make decrees,
Right.
but he really didn't hold the voice of God in his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
It was the prophet.
Right.
The prophet heard directly from God, and the prophet would speak to the king
Mm-hmm.
and give the king the word of God, and then the king would make the commands accordingly.
Yes.
So Jezebel wanted to go after the prophet
Mm.
because her control was out of control. Her
Yeah.
desire for control went to every level. So what we're saying is that you can see a Jezebel spirit in your marriage because
Yeah.
it leaks from your marriage
Mm.
to the kids.
That's good.
And now Jezebel isn't satisfied with just controlling the spouse.
Yeah.
She is now, or he is now, controlling
Mm-hmm.
the kids.
Yep. And then you'll notice, if you pay close attention,
Yeah.
that person also doesn't want to just control their house. They want to control people that work on the job with them. They want to control coworkers. They want to control neighbors. There are some people who
Oh,
want to control
let's not
neighbors.
talk about neighbors.
I mean, thankfully, we have been blessed throughout our marriage to have decent neighbors. I mean, we've never really gone at it with our neighbors,
Right.
but we have this like Facebook group for our neighborhood. A lot of neighborhoods have that now.
Yeah.
And you'll see people in, I have seen people in there who have said to other people, well, your dog is on a leash, but it's not a long enough leash. And I'm going to call animal control. I saw that your dog, walked on this side of the street,
Right.
but that's my side of the street. Your dog needs to. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know these people personally because I don't get into
Yeah.
these Facebook posts for
Right.
our neighborhood.
Right.
But what I mean is a Jezebel spirit is like that.
Yeah.
Like they want to control the house, then they want to control the people on their job,
Right.
then they want to control the people in their neighborhood, because it goes back to what you said, that it's an insatiable spirit. And so why are we bringing this up with marriage? Because you need to be very careful who you marry.
Yeah.
Who you married matters. This is why God told the children of Israel, don't marry an outsider.
Yeah. Don't marry an outsider, because Ahab, it's the thing about it is that Ahab knew what he was getting into, and he did it anyway. So the thing is that when you're dealing with a Jezebel, you're not gonna, if you do your due diligence,
Yes.
you're gonna get signs before you actually get
Exactly.
married to a
Oh,
Jezebel.
but it's
If
going to
we're
be
not out
hard
here,
for them over time
yeah,
to, especially if you're asking God for discernment. He
yeah.
will open you up to that because he doesn't want you to be in that
You're gonna
situation.
see it on the date.
Yep.
You're gonna see it when you walk down the street. You're gonna hear it on the phone. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hold up, wait a second.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little too strong there. And you're gonna pick up on all of this stuff. So a Jezebel spirit is not a spirit that doesn't rear their ugly head. It's not a spirit that is just going to totally pull the wool over your eyes. I believe a Jezebel spirit actually is a very exposed and emboldened spirit. Like
Yes.
that spirit is not in the bushes hiding out.
No.
If
No.
you're discerning, that spirit is right in your face.
Correct.
And
Absolutely.
so my thing is that if you've been married any duration, length of time, you knew they were a
Yeah.
Jezebel.
Oh, yeah.
But now that you have a Jezebel, you're going to have to now address it, confront it, and say,
That's the
listen,
thing. The Jezebel spirit actually doesn't like
come
confrontation.
on.
And so if you could
Let's go.
ever
Okay,
ask God
let's go.
for the strength and the courage to stand up to your Jezebel, if God forbid you are in a relationship with a Jezebel.
Right.
Now, if you're not married already, then my suggestion is don't even try and
No. Don't even just cut
just
it
get
off.
out.
Yeah.
Just get out.
Don't even waste the time.
If you're in a marriage and you believe that this marriage is a marriage that you should salvage, we're not going to determine that for you.
Right.
But if you believe it's a marriage that's salvageable, but you're like, I'm starting to notice, I think my spouse does have some, I think the enemy's trying to get in here
Yeah.
with that spirit. The spirit of Jezebel hates confrontation, and that's why you have to confront it.
You have to confront it. And that's the way to kill it, is to call it out.
Because you
Um,
can't kill what you won't confront.
let's go. Let's go. And the reason why Elijah doesn't defeat Jezebel initially
Yeah,
is because he runs away from her.
right. He's like,
And
he was like, get somebody else to do it.
yeah, and the Jezebel spirit thrives off of intimidation.
Yes.
And you're actually feeding it when you run away. But you can actually demoralize it when you confront it. And so we're saying you got to stand up to it. You have to confront it. And I wanted to say something else about the Jezebel spirit, and it started to leave me, because y'all know that these are unscripted,
Yeah.
and God just gives us wisdom in the moment. I think that's what makes these talks so powerful.
Yeah.
But if I remember it, I'll bring it up,
Okay.
because there's so many layers to the Jezebel spirit.
Yes.
And we just have to be careful what we're getting into. We have to be able to discern what we're dealing with. And if there's anybody in a really controlling environment, we want you to find safety through people that can help you.
Yeah.
Because a controlling environment is a dangerous environment.
Oh, yeah.
And we want your marriage to be healthy, but we also just want you to be safe.
Yeah, exactly.
We just want you to be safe, because the thing about when you're with a controlling person is that there's a deep level of pain that person is going through. And then it leads to that person being really irrational. And sometimes that comes out in painful ways, in tough ways, and
Yeah.
ways and environments that is unsafe. So
Yeah.
we want you to be healthy, we want you to be safe,
Yes.
and we want you to really lean on God and lean on the people around you, so that you can be healthy as an individual. The thing about marriage is that marriage doesn't work unless the individual parties are healthy.
Exactly. Both parties have to be healthy.
Yeah.
Not perfect, but they have to be healthy.
They have to
If
be
neither
healthy.
party is healthy, or at least one party is really unhealthy, it really does affect the whole marriage. And this is why we wanted to do this series, because we want to see what can we take from marriages in the Bible, even the marriages that weren't successful, because Ahab and Jezebel is not what you would call a successful marriage.
Right.
But there's something we can learn from them. We can learn that in marriage, it matters who you marry. You have to seek God's counsel for that.
Yeah.
We also can learn from them that in marriage, it's important that you don't lose your voice.
Yeah.
Whether you're the male or the female,
Yeah.
neither party should ever have a voice that is lost in the relationship. And you shouldn't be in a relationship that causes anxiety and causes you to feel like the only way to even potentially keep the peace is if I step out of who I'm called to be and
Yeah.
keep silent.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we're hoping that this talk helped you today, just to think about how to address potentially a Jezebel spirit in your marriage, a
Yeah.
controlling spirit in your marriage, and how this could lead to a place of health in your marriage, or just in you.
Yeah.
All right, so listen, we're gonna get out of here. I think
Mm-hmm.
this is a good talk.
Very
We
good.
may come back to this one because
Yeah,
this,
before we move on to the other couples, we might have to break down
yeah,
some more things
yeah,
about Ahab
yeah,
and Jezebel.
yeah, there's multiple layers in this, and so we want you to have a good one. We want you to like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already, and stay connected to everything that we're doing. And we want ultimately for your marriage to be healthy and successful. This has been another episode of Breakfast with Mark and Jen, and we will catch you next time. Take care.